Toby Dodds is set to be the next speaker at our conference, Director of Web and IT at Smithsonian Institution, overseeing the technical well-being of the Smithsonian Folkways website and digital collection. His presentation is called Smithsonian Folkways Collection Management and Orchard Core Demonstration. With a mission to increase and diffuse knowledge, Smithsonian Folkways Recording digitizes and distributes a large catalog of historic sound recordings. At the middle of their enterprise is an Orchard Core implementation that has been customized to support the needs of their collection and website. By blending the role of website CMS with a robust collection management platform, Folkways has achieved its goal of broadly distributing its collection via its website and through multiple third-party music services and platforms, reaching millions of listeners per year. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Okay, she just did my presentation for me. Thank you. That's basically it. Yeah, there you go. This presentation may contrast with the other presentations. I'm an experienced developer, but I see myself more as a librarian and a collections manager. I've been lucky enough to work on a collection for over 20 years now. I've had to make a number of sort of strategic decisions about how we architect and manage our collection. I would say maybe the best decision I ever made was to basically join my lot with the .NET framework and the Orchard community. So I'm coming here 10 years into that decision in a really good mood because our website, I believe, is one of the best websites around. I think we have one of the largest Orchard core websites in terms of sheer content items. We have, it shows 32,000 on the content items thing when you click there, but I know that we're closer to like 100,000 content items because we have list part items that add up, so it's a lot. So though my programming skills are nowhere even remotely close to where Sebastian is, I deal with a lot of information. I have a very kind of complex job. So thank you for being here. I'm basically going to do a bit of a show and tell of this website. The meta topic is that you should feel proud that you're a part of this community and that the Smithsonian loves you and that we are doing great things together as a community. So let me take it away. I don't want to assume everybody knows what Smithsonian is. In Washington, D.C., everybody knows what it is. This is shot from the Washington Monument. This is the view of our National Mall, which is the green grass that is connected to the Capitol building where all the love happens, and the Lincoln Memorial. Along the side, you see the Smithsonian buildings. These are our museums. The Smithsonian started in 1846. It is our national museum, and it's the world's largest museum complex. We have the Smithsonian mission is dedicated to the increase and diffusion of knowledge. There are 21 museums, there's 21 libraries, there's a zoo, and there's research centers and programs. And I work at one of the programs. So over to the right is actually where my office is. Just south of the mall, you can see off to the left is Smithsonian Folkways Recordings. It's hiding out in this building called Capitol Gallery. I'm giving you a visual because I would like you to come visit me. We are a collecting unit of the Smithsonian. We were founded in 1989 after the acquisition of Folkways Records, which was a record company run out of New York City that started in 1948. The original acquisition was 2,000 albums. We've grown to closer to 4,000 albums. We have recordings from over 200 nations around the world. UNESCO has registered us in their Memory of the World International Registry. We are dedicated to supporting cultural diversity and increased understanding among people. With the joint mission of the increased diffusion of knowledge, with the desire to support cultural diversity, we broadcast a collection of recordings from all around the world, all the people's music, and we try to get this music out to as many listeners as possible. And it marries with technology so beautifully. But it starts in a physical realm, right? This is our vault. It's cool. It's air-conditioned, similar to this room. so everything stays nice and chilly. And if I need to be reminded of what I'm doing, I come in here, I go into that space and I gather myself and say, look, I'm trying to get this material out to the world online, and that's what we do. The collection of Folkways is primarily a collection of published albums. This is what they look like. We've been engaged in a large digitization effort for many years. We scan artwork, we transfer audio tapes, and we capture lots and lots of metadata. So don't worry, there will be some technology in this presentation, because it really does begin with the metadata. The collection itself, just a little more detail. There's 4,500 releases, 70,000 tracks. Since acquiring Folkways, we've continued to acquire record labels. We have close to 30 record label catalogs. I just looked at our media server, and it's about 20 terabytes of files right now. Lots of high-resolution audio, scans of artwork, all sorts of related materials. And where the fun stuff happens is we have a collection database, which is incredibly complex and a giant pain in the butt. Which has created work for a number of very lucky people that are, lucky to be working around this data, because data is central to our organization. So how we manage data affects everything about our operation. I'm talking about recordings, but these recordings represent the artwork and the intellectual property of many, many thousands of people. We have 10,000 artists, all of whom are receiving royalty payments from us. Sometimes it's their heirs, the grandchildren of the descendants of these artists are all receiving compensation for their work. So the data is very important. We distribute our collection through our website. Various distributors, traditional distributors, places like Amazon for our physical goods, and critically our streaming music services. So I don't even need to do a show of hands, but most of you know Spotify, places like that. So it's important to note that the collection, although it is on our website, is also being made available through all of those services as well. And my goal in terms of stewarding the collection is to, we're working towards complete and accurate and consistent metadata across many platforms. Okay, so it's a big data management job. So though I'm not developing the next high performance element within the framework or the application, I'm benefiting from the strength of the framework in terms of our ability to manage metadata. How have we approached this work? I'm going to do my first shout out to JT, who I got to work with in our Orchard Core implementation. He loved to say we go step by step. And I still remember, I'm keeping that with me. I'm going to keep that one, step by step. And it's been a journey. I've been lucky enough to be on this project since 2001, when I helped us author our original relational database. And at the time, we developed I was coming out of Seattle. I had worked at a Vulkan thing with Paul Allen, and everybody was like, you must do .NET or else we will kill you. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't like that. But I got my early training in that. So I feel like sticking with .NET has been one of the good decisions I've made in my career. So we had a custom CMS that was built using classic ASP web forms, and amazingly, a lot of the elements of the database are still the same today. So in a way, the data is the most constant aspect of my project. We went online in 2004 with our first website. It was a very exciting moment in time, because this was when, this was early days of digital music. We made downloads available, and the New York Times wrote an article calling us an ethnographic iTunes, and it generated a lot of excitement. All of a sudden, this very out-of-print catalog of recordings was being made available online, and it was and it continues to be one of these, the internet is great success stories, cool things can happen. For us, it meant that really out-of-print, hard-to-find, buried records were now being given a proud platform on the internet, and they continue to. If you wonder why everybody's taste in music are so eclectic, it's because there's so much massively more selection out there. And our little quirky folk artists are up there fighting against the bigwigs, so it's cool. We did a front-end redesign in 2009, and then the big moment of Orchard landing was 2014. I was so happy that Sipka Schuster is here, because we absolutely would not have gotten there without him. Our custom CMS had been actually doing well. Look, it lasted 10 years, right? But this was at the moment where mobile responsive design was a requirement, so we knew we were retheming with that in mind, and at the same time, this was the CMS revolution taking over, and we needed to go somewhere. And one of the first brave decisions I was determined to protect the collection, which was in this database, and I didn't really want to move it into MySQL, and I didn't really want to just get along with WordPress. And so I held firm, and I was looking for a CMS application that would respect my database. I liked the MVC model. I went to an Umbranco conference and met those people and checked out that scene. It seemed pretty cool. But then I quickly landed on Orchard, mainly in part because I knew I wanted MVC, and Orchard was ahead of the curve. I feel like Orchard is still ahead of the curve. And I'm a huge fan of it. I only wish it was more popular. I tend to compare it to like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. There's not as many cars on the road, but they're fast and cool. And we should all drive them or something. Okay, so Orchard 1 was a big success, and I remember going to Orchard Harvest in 2017. And I was all happy about it, and Sebastian took me aside. He's like, "Oh, it's so slow. It's terrible. It's the worst. You have to go to Orchard Core." And I'm like, "Oh man, really? Okay, yeah, I guess you're right." So the need for speed is for real, and it became increasingly important to us as well because, as you know, it became clear that websites were being downgraded on Google for being too slow. Performance actually was seriously going to matter. What really pushed us into having to address speed, though, was that we had been offering digital downloads through our service, and there was a real need to start to come up with a way to allow for streaming through our own website. We didn't want to just offer streaming through Spotify. We're very proud. We want to do our own thing. We want to have an alternative to that so people can stream. And in order for us to offer streaming, it created a technical challenge for us, which was how do we have a docked element that's persistently playing an audio stream while you're browsing the website. And where we are now, and one of the reasons I'm presenting in front of all you brilliant developers is that I expect you to come up to me later and tell me I'm doing it all wrong and there's a better way. We've landed on an Ajax solution, basically that if a user is signed in as a subscriber, their website, the script loads and their session is taken over, and we are now loading content into the main content div via Ajax, and front end coding to make that possible. It's modeled after NPR. The National Public Radio music website was doing it, so we're like, well, if it's cool enough for them, it must be cool enough for us. But if you're loading content into a div, it better be fast, and it's still not fast enough. You'll see it. I'm going to demo that here in a sec. In order to make streaming also possible, we had to upgrade all of our e-commerce. We do not let Orchard. We're not custom with our e-commerce. The Smithsonian is too afraid of that. We're very, very scared of people being hacked, so they wouldn't allow us to cook our own e-commerce. So we need e-commerce that's complicated because we want to have recurring billings and things like that. And it's no need to build that. So we are in a third-party e-commerce vendor named BigCommerce that is supporting us in selling subscriptions while also letting us sell all of our other goods. Okay, so I'm going to do a very quick demo of our Folkways website. And just remember, this is the best website on the internet, so you're very lucky to even see it. Google.com is pretty cool, but anyway, if you're from our perspective, we just love our collection. So the homepage, which is the theme that you're seeing is we've actually had this design in front of us for a number of years. It was developed. We generally have separated our front end design from our back end design. We lean heavily on Lombic to support our back end, and we have a design firm named Visual Dialogue based in Boston that helps us on the front end. So it looks really great. So if you scroll down, you can see things like these are widgets, as these different zones are done with design widgets. They're using liquid queries to present content in different areas. And we can click through the collection. Generally, the homepage is interested in promoting new releases. These are things that are available on vinyl. And when we click on a recording, you can see that we have album cover art. Sometimes there's galleries of art. If our pages are slow, it's probably because of the media that's coming on board with the page load. It's not the application. But I already mentioned it. Yes, we still need to address speed on our website. And our release, these records that you're seeing here, this is like the digital representation of the physical item, have a lot of information. Sometimes they have different album covers. You see metadata along the right-hand side. We're basically trying to do a version of Spotify that's more thoughtful. We present liner notes. We give credit really clearly. We take pride in presenting these recordings in the best possible light. In addition, we're also developing. We have we have educational content. We publish videos. We are doing a lot of different content creation on the website. But first and foremost is going to be the catalog. And I mentioned that we had all these different record labels. You can see them right here. One of the things that was really exciting about getting into Orchard Core was going on this journey with Lombek and with JT, because he was so amazing in terms of guiding us through that, and I'm ecstatic to be able to live with his code for many years to come, I expect. His influence on our project will be felt for a long time. One of the really cool things he did was figure out that we could develop our own search within the application, just leveraging the fact that everything was in indexes. And which in itself, as you can, I'm sorry if I'm being a bit all over the place, but I don't think I said enough about what it meant to migrate into Orchard Core. It was a big, scary moment. As you can tell, we're very attached to our collection. We see the database as like central to our whole operation. And being told that there was some confusion, certainly in my mind, about how data was going to be changing in the Orchard Core context, right? And I needed it to continue to be available into SQL so that I could not break my operation. So I continue to be grateful to Lombek for holding my hand through these nervy moments and helping me understand that we could develop indexes, we could migrate the data and store it into indexes. So we have, and JT and I would talk about every single field, like, okay, which ones need to be indexed and which ones can we write into a content index, right? A content index, which more or less is basically a reference it's reference data. And that was like kind of it was a cool moment to realize that we could continue to maintain the integrity of our database while also offering up our data in cached indexes that could perform and do great things and be really fast. And the fact that he was able to then help us build search on top of that and have it be, meet my design vision for it, and was really, really cool. So here's, I mentioned Folkways Records as the original acquisition. We have 1,939 of their albums, 27,000 tracks. It's definitely our biggest collection. We're sorting it by date, but we can also filter by era. So I'm filtering on 1960s Folkways recordings, and it's slow, but it's normally fast. Okay, let's see. It's nice when your website gives you me time. All right, well, I don't know if it's been the Wi-Fi in here, a little bit of Friday the 13th bad luck, but the site's been a little bit slow, and it's great that we're coming after that performance demonstration, Sebastian. Maybe we can get together afterwards. Take a look.
Yeah, it's been spotty.
Yeah, I always get nervous doing like live website demo in front of a group of people. It is really fast, and it does work great. And we not only have the ability to browse label collections, we can go geographically. So if you're looking for music from a specific country, we can go to Europe, and we can find that we have recordings from Hungary, which are folk recordings. We have recordings from France. We have recordings from everywhere, right? I can quickly demo the signing in. This is done SSO to our e-commerce through our e-commerce provider, and should work. Great. So I signed in order so I could so you could see the Ajax thing, but I'm a little nervous because of how slow that last page loaded. We're still breaking in the streaming project. We just introduced it within the last 6 months. I don't think I need to give it a big caveat, but let's try to play some blues music. So you saw the spinner. We're now basically if we have about 500 subscribers right now, paying $5 a month, and those are the individuals that I need to start working better on. We need to move our site faster to make this better, and we may end up building an app for it. But once you are in as a subscriber, we can stream.
Like I was saying, in this record we'll be using Marine Van harmonica, tuned in the key of C. Marine Van harmonicas have 10 holes, 20 reeds. There's 2 reeds to each hole, one in the in-breath, one in the out-breath. Take a look at the diagram. The large capital letters are for the blow notes, or the out note. Try getting single notes, practice that.
All right, let's try to find some music. All right, New Lost City Ramblers are one of our classic folk revival bands. This should be good. So we have a lot of classic American folk music, but let's get out of here. Let's go someplace more interesting. We have more recordings from Indonesia than just about anybody, honestly. 64 albums. This one's one of my favorites. Yeah, that last music was too hyper. This is like, you can mellow out with this. This is how I fill 30 minutes quick. Don't worry, I love this record. This is an Indonesian guitar record that was done by an ethnomusicologist named Filip Jampolsky, and he's kind of like a hero of art. He did a whole series. We have 20 volumes of music of Indonesia, and he's going to be donating his whole archive, which is like 300 hours of additional material that's coming online. We're doing a partnership with the government of Indonesia to build like an entire interactive way of exploring the music of Indonesia through all the islands and everything. So we get, I'm incredibly lucky to get to work with amazing content, and it's all working because of good tech. Okay, and if it was bad tech, I don't know that I would continue to be the lucky one to get to do it. So like my success depends on, honestly, it leans heavily on the community. So if I've been overly friendly to you this last couple of days, I don't think I have been. It all comes down to us again with we're anchored in our collection, and the data is incredibly important. It's in part why in my own background I have a master's in library science, and I really think a lot about information architecture and how data flows in our organization. That's kind of the level of which I claim some expertise. I'm also able to push updates to the website and maintain it. I'm like your mid-tier developer kind of guy. So as we look at the data, I sort of introduced it here. I gave a little shout out to SQL Server there. It's our collection database, which is the Folkways Collection Manager, is at the center of our work, and it's managed using Orchard Core and Microsoft SQL Server. Why is it important for us? Our collection is being distributed and is managed through many different outlets, many different endpoints. And in the work that I'm doing, I'm trying to better integrate and automate these endpoints and these connections so that we again achieve our goal of consistent, thorough, and accurate data across all platforms. Just a quick anecdote: there is another Orchard. One of the biggest digital music one of the biggest digital distribution services is called The Orchard. So I don't know if our lawyers need to talk to them or something, but it's pretty cool that it's a good sign that I'm in an orchard I work in an orchard with 2 orchards. And they're very important because they're the ones that when we deliver to them, they deliver to the world. And quite honestly, this is where our reach is. Just last year, we did 275 million tracked streams through the digital music services. And at 0.005 a penny, you can do the math. It's decent revenue, but not amazing. This is a quick snapshot of our architecture as we completed our e-commerce upgrade project. Again, you can see the website is at the top, Orchard Core, CMS, FCM. This is showing how we added BigCommerce in the middle as a new e-commerce platform in order to have better functionality, in order to support subscription billing, just basically an upgrade to our existing e-commerce, which had been in NetSuite, which we've now relegated to what it's good at, which is an ERP, and which also communicates with our Orchard Core instance. Again, we have multiple endpoints, multiple applications fighting for dominion of various roles. And the one thing that we hold true is our collection, and we hold control of it, and we're able to do that with .NET and Orchard Core. We are integrating through software integration services like Boomi. So let me just quickly give you a quick snapshot of what collections management looks like inside my organization. We are, of course, have the Orchard Core dashboard, which we've been able to model, and we work a lot with spreadsheets. Like, let's give spreadsheets credit. They're awesome. They're amazing. Their database is on the go. We have many, many people working on spreadsheet projects to help improve the quality of our material. We gather up information in spreadsheets, and we import and we export them. It's a very important way in which we work. I used to do that all directly into SQL using like DTS Wizard or whatever, and now I've been able to get Orchard Core to support that as well. Thank you again, JT. We are also, I mentioned the Boomi cloud integration and FileMaker. These are other tools that I can't deny have an important role in our organization. It was really great to be able to model our releases inside the dashboard in a thoughtful way. This is like where, again, I guess most CMSs probably excel at it, but because of the cleanliness of the design and the structure of Orchard, it felt almost effortless to set our data up for success with different tabs. We have a general tab, we have details, product info, various different tabs for different types of metadata. Our product info is a very important tab where we have bag parts. Hey, I said a technical term. We use bag parts to manage products which are, our releases have many different versions and many different products. So modeling around the bag part is very important to us. And then we have, I am having to report data all the time. So we have this wonderful capability of outputting collection records one-off into spreadsheets in various different formats. And we're going to be growing and expanding this capability. This is where we're really starting to settle in. You saw the diagram that placed FCM, the database, at the center of the universe with all those lollipops. Like, we need to be able to quickly output to those lollipops in different ways. And so we'll see increased emphasis on building more reports. Our record label catalogs can also be reported out. So if we wanted to see all of the recordings of a specific record label, they can also be outputted. Again, this was custom code that was developed and with help from JT and Lombek. But at the end of the day, it's a really cool data cycle for me because off of this export, we can download a spreadsheet that's spitting everything back out into spreadsheets. Again, and not even like simple spreadsheets. These are spreadsheets that have tabs for various different types of metadata. And what's amazing is that same data that you see here can be imported back in. So it's a really cool thing to see data in a spreadsheet with tabs and many thousands of rows being able to be imported into the application and then exported out, and it's identical. And it's like, holy cow, this is really pretty cool. If you're like me, anyway, I think it's pretty cool. I like to see data moving. This is an example. This is the how we're managing data updates and imports. I do miss being able to jump into SQL and update an entire database really quickly with a couple lines of code. But it's dangerous too, right? I'm not sure that was the best thing for me to have been doing all those years. So I lost some control into Orchard Core by putting the data into indexes and having to having to update through the application layer, but it's better practice anyway. And again, thank you, JT, for helping us set up the kinds of tools we need to make the bulk updates that we have. And these are working, right? So very happy about that. We can still use SQL, and we do it all the time, and we're doing it in order to support integration. One of our really cool integrations is this Boomi one. I guess I'm giving them a shout out. Although it's pretty difficult to set this up, this is one of a number of these processes that were set up using a cloud integration service called Boomi that's allowing us to link our collection database to our e-commerce platform, NetSuite, and then from NetSuite to BigCommerce, and then back to our FCM, back to our database. So we are fully integrated as a result of this platform and this architecture. These integrations run off schedules that can run every minute, 15 minutes, daily, whatever. I have colleagues and they love FileMaker, and I want them to love my data. So I make ODBC connectivity to SQL available to my colleagues who use FileMaker, and it's a read-only environment for me, so I don't stress. You can look at it as much as you want. It's not going to break anything, so go for it. Okay, so that is giving you hopefully a pretty good picture of what we're doing and how we're using Orchard Core in the context of it. What's next for us is we're looking at, now that we have this ability to stream and people can do that, we want to make it more fun. We need to make it work a little better. So I'll be looking at performance a bit on the pages and how do we make the media ship in a more efficient way, I guess. But for users, we want them to be able to create playlists. We want them to bookmark and have favorites and have an easier time of sharing things out. So Mark, get psyched. All right, we're going to talk about that. We can clearly see a need for an app down the road for us. Once we reach sort of a certain point, we would want to have an app for that streaming. And then finally, we want to make a collection. We want this collection to also be a service that's available to home music devices like Sonos and Alexa. We want you to be able to talk in your car. You know, we can dream about that, right? We want you to say, play bluegrass from Folkways. Okay? Like, why not? We get that too, right? I don't know how much it costs yet, actually. And of course, more need for speed. So I was actually really excited to come after the performance talk. I would love to know how to do more of that. And last slide, almost there. Own your data. These are some, like, I guess, wisdom or strategy statements, but it's also my opportunity to extend a few thank yous. In my opinion, it's very important for all organizations to own and control their data and be able to move it cleanly and easily. Don't ever give up your data. Like, part of our strategy of doing .NET is to control your own application, like to control what's most important to you. Okay, don't just put it into some service that you're paying a subscription to. Like, you have to control something. What are you going to be about? So we're a Smithsonian museum. We're going to control our collection and take pride in that. And we can only do it without good tech. So we're getting that here. And then for us, we've succeeded by putting access first. Other archives think about how do we preserve our collection in a database that's accessible, but mainly only internally. For us, we basically married the idea of a content management system as a collections management system and put our collection public first. You know, we put it online first. Don't build something internally for your archive and then figure out how am I going to get that to the website. We just said, why not do it all at once? And we did, and it worked. Seems kind of, I don't know, seems cool to me. We're not that, even though we're part of this big museum, we're in a small shop. I'm the only dedicated IT specialist in this organization, so I'm definitely not doing it alone. I'm able to provide some level of in-house maintenance, which is important, but it all is with help from friends. So I've been giving shout-outs to Visual Dialogue. Guys, if you need great design, they're great. Luke Hatfield is a brilliant coder who teaches me about SAS and JavaScript and shows me how to make things look beautiful. We're able to be perfectionists with good design and good architected backend. So the backend side, of course, is Lombik, deserves like so much praise and so much thanks, and Sipka for being part of the journey too. But you know, again, we are all thinking about JT this week, or all of us who knew him, and so we'll be thinking about him for a very long time. And I appreciate Zoltan's wisdom through this journey as well. You told us when to go to Orchard Core. You said it's not ready yet, like 3 or 4 times, so thank you. And then you said it's ready, let's do it. And Mark, thank you for continuing this journey with me. And the other really important strategic thing I would say to any manager of an IT operation is be part of a community, and I'm really thankful to be part of this community. So thank you to everybody here, anybody who's listening to this or watching this. I hope that you can point to the fact that the Smithsonian's using it to help you sell more clients or get your directors more excited about it, because it's truly like great technology if you use it well. This is it. I'm done. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
On the slide, on the picture with your vault on the
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
is that discs or books? Sorry if I missed that. But
Yeah, no, that's our vault. We have a reading room out front, and then in there, this is where we. I have a lot of slides. You guys just listen to all of that? Oh my god. Primarily, these will be our original source materials for recording. So we would be looking at original master tapes. Way back in the day, records were produced on lacquer discs, and we, for example, we like to mention that we have the archive of Woody Guthrie. So the song "This Land Is Your Land," if you grew up in this country, you would have definitely been exposed to it. Is in there. So we have some important, valuable treasures in there.
And how do you digitalize them, and do you store it in the same place?
Well, maybe we can have Harvest in there in a couple of years. We can tour. We have sound studios, we have audio engineers, we have archivists, we have me, we have people doing all sorts of different roles to make this possible.
And there's a process when it's digitalized, and it goes to the website automatically and adds to the collection.
Yes, we are digitizing art files. They're being stored on media servers. We're using common sense techniques to keep things organized. We name things with catalog numbers, and then ultimately we publish them online based on that kind of matching media to metadata.
And on the picture before, there was the location of the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
Was the picture taken during Trump inauguration? It's quite empty.
You don't have to answer that.
I'm not allowed. I'm here on behalf of my institution. I cannot comment.
Very good.
Real quick, I'm curious to know if anybody other than yourselves within the Smithsonian organization knows you're using Orchard Core, and do you, for example, see something where that same structure could be used for their collection?
Yes, even though we're all one institution, it's pretty siloed. So I think I do need to probably do a better job of evangelizing it. But I go to a monthly webmasters meeting, and I'm pretty obnoxious about talking about all the cool things we're doing. There's a strong kind of Drupal influence in the institution, but it doesn't seem to be sparking tremendous amounts of joy. I don't want to be like underhanded or anything, but and there is things kind of move a little bit slow as an institution, but there is a quickening. There's an Office of Digital Transformation, which was given a lot of authority a couple of years ago, and yeah, I want to present to them similarly. And I need to, because I'd like to see more up use of this technology at the institution. We're fully on board with Microsoft technologies. We're all using Office 365 and Teams. And I mean, one of the reasons why it works so well for me is I have Windows servers, like as many as I need. Licenses are never an issue. So it seems natural that we would do more. So maybe we can get the conference to be there. That would help.
Or make a GitHub project too. That's another.
Yes, I hope to be more thoughtful about how we share resources. A lot of what I've developed is done sort of custom with help from Lambic, but I want to make sure that everything that I've built is accessible to the community. And of course, seeing everybody reminds me of that. I'm just not sure exactly how to do it. I'm not as good enough a developer to make a fork, branch something, and then do that. But maybe with some help from you guys, we'll get there. I think the search is a very powerful, discrete use case. All right.
Just to comment, you mentioned Drupal.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Drupal,
Mm-hmm.
and when I joined Microsoft, they hired me also because I had some experience in Drupal, and Orchard was inspired a lot by Drupal.
Yes, they're very similar. Whenever somebody wants to have like a CMS fight with me, I'm like, look, we're all using similar technology. They're all with a similar goal. So, and if you like what you like, go for it. So. We have success with Orchard Core. Yeah.
You don't seem to use the media gallery, the library, to store your images.
We do, but with different content items. Some, there is sort of a blog component that uses it, but no, we have a separate media server. We are naming files with a strict naming convention, and it's working. Yeah, but if that's a buried suggestion, then please find me afterwards or something.
You mentioned media. The streamable media on your website, is it hosted internally, or are you guys like storing in the cloud or something?
It is. We are in a data center in Virginia with free provided hosting, and yes, part of an upgrade path might be thinking about CDN or how do we get. It might be that things feel slower for me here because I've just come to the West, but we need, this is, stuff I'm thinking about.
Next step, maybe integrate some AI.
Step by step, right?
AI, step by step, AI widget, find my mood, playing my music.
We've just kind of settled into this huge upgrade. We're just very busy, but yes, this is where we go step by step. How do we make it faster? Okay. Yeah.
Well, Todd, as an enthusiastic user of Orchard, what are your thoughts on how we can expand the developer community? How we can invite more C# developers or ASP.NET developers to join us?
Well, we certainly should lead by example and try to promote. This is why I was jumped on coming here. People want to be associated with cool things, so I don't really have the answer to that question. I wish I really did. There's many. We know that there's a huge community of .NET developers. So how are we marketing to the .NET community? So Sebastian knows the answer. He's just not sharing it with us. How could we market Orchard Core to the .NET community better? Microsoft is huge and in silos too.
I would like to ask, you said that you have 100,000 of content items. And did you ever have to deal with adding new fields to the metadata or something like that in the content types? And if you did, how you managed to change the fields in all the data you have?
That definitely falls within what I need to be able to do in terms of maintaining the project, is that I extend, basically I'm able to add fields pretty much all the time. We use migrations to do that. And I needed to be trained, right? So JT taught me, and now Mark's helping me. But you can see we've developed a custom module, our Folkways collection module, and we have a custom theme as well. And in that, there's data migrations, we have caching, our indexes, and we have migrations, and they're pretty complex. We had to create a step, we had to do steps in terms of migrations. We can see release migration steps. And we have to, every time we add those fields, we're altering an index and a content index, right? So the content index is what's giving me kind of like the Orchard 1 level data access with Orchard Core speed through the index. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I keep worrying I'm going to embarrass myself if I start talking about the code. Yeah.
What about setting the values on all those fields? You got 100,000 content items.
I was sharing the Excel import and update capabilities. So if we're massaging large amounts of data, we're probably working in a spreadsheet, and we're pulling in updates. And I'm going to have a lot more to say about that because we're about to launch a massive upgrade of our database. We've been on a 5-year project to revise all of our metadata. And it's about to be certified by our digital distributor, and we're going to be updating our entire collection with better information. So that's actually what I'm doing next. So that'll really test the capabilities of our updating through SQL and through Excel.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I have to stop.
That's good. Thank you, guys.